Hello, everybody. Welcome to Shauna's Miraculous Podcast. We've got special guest Sarah Grandinetti on today. Hello.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. How you doing?
I'm great. I just got off a big call called the Judgment Detox and got me and my thrills going. So I'm very excited.
You facilitated that class?
Yeah, I just had a Zoom call before I jumped on with you. And anytime that I get to dive into consciousness and ask questions and play with people, it excites me a lot. So you are coming in hot, very excited facilitator guest today.
Nice. Yeah, I've been super excited for this podcast episode for like a couple days. And
Awesome.
I think that email, it said, yeah, so it's, sorry, what is it called again?
The call that I just did.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah, yeah.
the Judgment Detox.
Judgment Detox. And then I think, was that a free call?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then
Yeah.
so would you just go onto your website and then like sign up for it, and then with the emails you just register for it and get it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
For you, Shauna, I'll keep it up. I'll keep it on my site. It usually comes down, but in special
Ah,
request, I will keep it up for you and your listeners.
and the listeners. Okay, you hear that, everybody? Judgment Detox, that would be cool. Because I've also noticed with I was looking at allowance and how that creates a different space. And so I don't think you would have judgment if you were like in allowance.
Oh, totally. 100%.
Anyways, I've been looking at like a lot of things lately. So I'm
Yeah.
like, and I know you wanted to talk about like parenting. So what's up with that? Or the unparenting?
Yeah. So, parenting by design, in Sarah's interesting point of view, is the training system for polarity to get trapped into this reality and make it very real. So, is this
Is
a conspiracy theorist podcast or?
Yeah, well, I was just wondering if it's kind of like, is it like if I have this constant thing saying like, okay, be a parent, have a kid, and I'm like getting myself ready to like have a baby, find a partner, have a kid, and want a kid, it's like, and anything goes on this podcast. So it's like, yeah, so because I'm like, and then I'm like, everyone who has a kid is like, don't have a kid.
Oh. Well, let me say this. I Gary Douglas, founder of Access Consciousness, um, gave me the freedom to say out loud, I hate being a mom. And by anybody hear that in the world would be like, oh my gosh, what an awful person. But basically, I hate being a mom in the way that you're supposed to be a mom to try to be a good mom in this reality. I love being a mom to the beings that I get to mom, if that makes any sense at all. So, to my previous comment, basically, parenting is where you learn right, wrong, good, bad, which is the trap of polarity. It's how you learn to judge the world, judge how you fit into the world, judge how you don't fit into the world. And then also simultaneously, while judging everything, learn how to choose in order to avoid judgment. So most parents are teaching their kids, here's what I learned from their parents, right and wrong, good and bad. And this is where I got judged a lot, or this is where I had a fall, which was a mistake, which often means I was wrong or bad. And here's how you should avoid it, which is here's what I've decided was the right choice I should have made. And now I'm going to gift it to you. All the while, none of that having to do with the being. It's about how to get it right here and how to avoid being wrong here in the world. And so, and there's this really beautiful, that's me being sarcastic, formula for why we will fall into the trap of polarity within family, because family also comes with all the feels and all the belonging and all the unconditional love that's often very conditional,
Mhm.
and where you're supposed to align in order to not be kicked out of the family. in order to stay connected to the family. And the way that you align in this reality is by, aligning your points of view, which often are from judgment. So we wonder why we get older and we're no longer are in our nuclear family or being parented on the daily, and we have all this judgment in our world, or things aren't working for us, or we have all these points of view that we think are ourselves. It's really because we've taken on the job of our parents to judge us accordingly. So if mom and dad aren't around anymore to tell us what to do, right, wrong, good, and bad, we have learned that energetic judgment system. It is in us, in our bodies, and we think it's our being. And then we go out in the world and we judge the crap out of everything we say or do. And so with the calls that I do and the conversations I love to have is how to unparent you, and kind of not from making that system wrong, because as soon as you go into that, you're doing polarity, but from like acknowledging it for what it is and seeing what you can create beyond it.
Well, it's like, yeah, well, what would it take to create beyond it? And then like, I guess go beyond that, because like I see it in myself and I see it in others where sometimes people will automatically have that good, bad, right, and wrong. So it's like they know that they can go up to a certain point. They know that they can say a certain thing. They know to be polite. And then that keeps them, comfortably living a mediocre life. And then with me, I also noticed, for example, I'll just use myself as an example. Like I made a lot of choices and I was like, oh shoot, that was not my choice. That was choice by family, parents, whoever, relationship, whatever, or like work, anything other than me. So it's like, I wonder, I guess I have a question, like, would the work that you're doing allow people to choose for themselves rather than I guess the mimicry of all of that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, most of our lives, myself included, are made up of a trillion, zillion tiny little choices based on someone else's point of view. And before we go, oh, it's mom's fault. Like, no, mom created her life based on her mom and dad's point of view and so on and so forth. Like, um, I have a book coming out and in the book, we call that DNA parenting. It just gets handed down and handed down, handed down, and so basically when you start to get free of that, that's exactly what shows up is a life created based on what is true for you, getting to know what is true for you. And what's really cool that I acknowledge a lot in the calls is that a lot of us avoid what's true for us because we think it means we have to choose based on new awareness. Like we won't even let the awareness in because we think if we know, then we have to go. And that's not actually true. You can get all the awareness and still choose to, choose exactly as your family. You can get all the awareness and still choose to stay in the relationship because that's what you're choosing and you don't have to judge it. You can know that the relationship is not what you're actually asking for and allow that awareness to be there and still go, you know what, but I still want to choose it. So it's kind of like what you said is like opening the door to the awareness of what is true for you and then going, hey, what would it look like to start including me in my choices?
Yeah, like it's interesting because like if somebody or yeah, if someone's like kind of continuously choosing, they're in their reality choosing like either, let's just say, bad relationships. um I get a sense that like the choice to choose something different, our whole like, and it could be like comparable to anything, it just gives a different possibility and a different choice. So it's like, or even just having more of something else in your life, it almost like, it's, yeah, like you said, it's not like a bad thing and it's not that you have to do it, it's just a bit more space to allow that into your life. And it's so weird though, because it's like, I feel like maybe sometimes there's like these horse blinders on where it's like, well, I'm only choosing bad relationships. But I feel like if I just step out a little tiny bit, there might be room for a good relationship, and space for that. Is it like do you think it's like a fear or an unconsciousness or like a choice?
Well, they call it the comfort zone for a reason.
Ah,
And even the comfort zone can be very uncomfortable, but we're comfortable with the discomfort. So, one of the tools and access that we use a lot in the relationship classes I do is like, what do I love about it? Because truly anything that you've wanted to change in your life, you've been willing to go after and change. And you have to look at that because I was the one that would like fight tooth and nail. I wanted to change this thing that won't change forever. And I would fight to say, how dare you tell me I love something about it? And,
I get it.
but funny enough, in all like the relationships that weren't working, or mine was more like business relationships or creationships that like were never honoring of me, I'm like, how am I in this situation again? And then you have to like take a cold, hard look in the mirror and go, oh, I'm the common denominator in every relationship. Like I'm the one in all of these relationships. So what is it about my point of view, about me, about creationship, about what I deserve, what I don't deserve, how I should be treated, how I shouldn't be treated, like all of these points of view that then keep me finding and aligning with the choosing the same type of person. And I did this in friendship for so long, Shauna. Oh my God. I could tell you some stories because I had the point of view that I needed to save people, superior much, right? I needed to find someone who needed saving, like just that one point of view. So then what happens is I would have someone in my life and they would make me source by my own like invitation. Hello, I'm over here. I'm a savior. Let me be your source. And then after a little while, it'd be like, I don't want to be, why are they making me source? Like I'm some victim to this, But in reality, I had the point of view that that was my only value. So I had to find people that would make me valuable and validate that for me. And it was only the people who needed me that could do that. So that is a short walk on a long tour. Like
Yeah.
there's so much more to dig in there. But when you get vulnerable, and you get vulnerable with yourself, you don't have to get vulnerable with anybody else. Just get vulnerable and go, oh my gosh, what do I love about this? Like, what control does it give me? What validation does it give me? Does it prove to the world that I'm someone's victim? And a lot of us know so well how to do victim, but we don't know how to do champion. So like that's the discomfort in the comfort zone, because if we really want it out, we would start making the choices to move those energies out of our life. And we are powerful enough to do that.
Wow, that's crazy. That is like a whole lot there. That is so much. Like, if like, yeah, when people listen, like it's the depth of when what I see lately has been when you're facilitating, when there's a question, you get to look at the question, then you get to look at the flip side. And so there's just so much of that where it's like layer under layer after layer after layer. And that is so cool. Like, thanks for sharing that, because I think it can be a tendency for many people to try and be the savior and help people, whether they do it on a big time scale or they just like see someone, and it's like almost like they want to jump in and help no matter what. So, and it's like, yeah.
Well, it's also part of the polarity trap that we talked about in the beginning, because when you're helping people, you're good and you're doing the right thing. And so and what is so common within even access consciousness, and I'm sure the world at large, is that people are so desperate to not feel wrong that they're fighting to do whatever would make them feel right and good. But right and good is just the opposite of bad and wrong. It's the same trap, just the other side of the coin. And I would say even stickier, because as soon as you go, oh my gosh, it felt so good to save that person, guess how many more you're going to go out and try to save, and then you're right. So you can never not save somebody, because if you have judged yourself as right, then if there's someone that needs saving, you have to drop everything and go save them, which a lot of us are using a lot of our time that we could be creating our lives, the life that we think we're asking for, we say we're asking for. We spend
Yeah.
a lot of the energy saving other people
Yeah.
because it's what makes us right. And so, usually people are willing to change their wrongness and are seeking possibilities to change their wrongness, but they think getting it right is how to do that. And getting it right gets you even more stuck.
And That's so interesting that you brought this up. You must be speaking to all the people who came here and to me and said they were like, I just want to be a good person. I only want to do good things. I just want to be good, and that is all. And I'm like, oh, whoa. And I get that because there's all the words that you just said that puts it into that polarity. And even nice. I just want to be nice. And I'm like, oh man, because there's the opposite of that. So there's a whole bunch of polarity going on here, but then they've already made themselves wrong. But it's like, I guess if you break free of that, like you said, you can go into creating your life. And so it's like, I wonder what choice for you actually is. And I wonder what, if we didn't have all this going on, what the creation of our lives could be rather than, I guess, all of these maybe distractions or the polarities.
Yeah, we busy ourselves with a lot of things, and judgment being one of them. And because we're so committed to like making the right choice, not the wrong choice. A lot of us are always looking in our rear view mirror at the past, trying to recreate that, but simultaneously driving as fast as we can towards the future, away from a past. It's like all of that is the insanity of this reality that is driven and kept alive by polarity. And so when you talk about, starting to create your life, and using the energy that you're using to, whether it's save people or the extracurricular activity of judgment, um, you have way more choices available. And then from those choices, because choice is what changes your life, nothing else. From those choices, like, the ripple effect creates more choices that until you make the first choice, you can't see. So you have to choose to get a new menu of choice. And each time you choose, you'll open up different doors, get new things on your menu for you to choose again. But from judgment, you'll only see what you've decided is right and wrong.
Really cool. There's what I kind of get is it's so different from oh, there's a cat. Hi. Aw, is that a kitten? Cool. He's like nice little black cat.
Yeah.
That's cute. Oh, that's
Oh, I
awesome.
know. I'm a witch now.
Oh, too funny. Cats are awesome. I wish I could have a cat, but I can't. Not in the current. Or you just wanted to say hello?
Yeah.
Um, I was kind of like wondering if you could talk about like, I mean, I think we did, but like how to be undefinable.
Undefinable or undefined?
Oh, okay. I'd say undefined.
Yeah. Well, I think the more like I keep poking at this judgment thing, and I think probably because I just did that call. I don't know, but it's also been something that's been in my world for a while. But last year, like I really focused on getting more aware of like polarity and what it actually is and how it fuels everything. And so when you talk about being undefined, even definition is polarity. Like even definition in and of itself is a limitation that keeps you locked into what you have to be and what you can't be,
Mhm.
and as you pointed out with like being nice, isn't it funny that there's a word for the opposite of it? Being mean, being unkind. Like everything has an opposite, and which is in and of itself, as said, stated prior, is polarity. So when you look at like how to be undefined, I don't know if there's a how to as much as the more that you let go of what you think you are, the more you get to be what you actually are. And, I mean, I can't even tell you, like, it's been the dumbest thing, like, dumbest is a sarcasm. Okay. So it's been awesome. Um, Recently there's been the conversation in access consciousness about personalities. And I decided to go like full frontal. Is that how you say that? Full force,
For full on, full
full
front. Yeah,
on.
full front, full
Um,
force.
yeah, at that tool. And the funniest thing is like little things. Okay. So Shauna, watch, do I have time to walk you through this
Oh yeah.
silly little thing? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I have prided myself in telling the world that I don't like chocolate. I don't know why that's a prideful thing, but I don't like chocolate. So I tell everybody all the time. And people still like give me gifts of chocolate. Like people come to class, they're like, here's the gift of chocolate. I'm like, okay.
So I will buy some chocolate for you next class. I see you.
I mean, and it's so sweet. I'm always like, oh, you're so sweet. And I wish you didn't waste this money because I have to find someone to give it to, It's like regift. Anyways, okay. But somewhere I've like created a personality around chocolate. That's the dumbest shit you've probably ever heard on a podcast, a personality around not liking chocolate. But yeah, it has been my thing. And so I started doing like asking personality or being about like everything. And so I decided to ask it about chocolate. And I was like, that's so weird. Why would I create a personality around chocolate? And I've made this so real that like you would probably, if I were on a dating website, it would be like in my bio. Okay. Must have at least 6 pillows and hates chocolate. Like sleeps with 6 pillows and hates chocolate. Like I'm a weirdo. Okay. All right. So one silly little thing. Why would chocolate matter for the creation of my life? Well, let me tell you this. I started in asking questions. It was light that it was a personality. So I was like, what? And I go all the way back to I hated Halloween. Mhm. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And then I kept going and I was like, oh, well, there's this insanity in like, at least in the US, they're everywhere when you're a little kid. Like there's all these like commercials and like reminders not to talk to strangers. And that one of the ways strangers lure you is through candy. And so it's like, don't take candy from strangers. Okay. And then one day a year, they dress you up in weird things and walk you to strangers to take candy. Like, how insane is that shit? How insane is that? And it really bothered me as a child. And so I think I developed, like, I like developed this personality to like stand up against like the injustice of this holiday. Okay. And but then furthermore, I would still go trick or treating because I liked dress up, surprise, surprise, right? Um, and I would get all this candy, but guess what Sarah did with her candy? She would take it to school and like buy people. Like I would like for if you were first in line, I would be like, do you want a chocolate bar? So you give me your first spot. Like I would buy people. Like I was always captain of all the sports teams. And so I would want first pick. So I would like have a piece of candy in my pocket and be like, here, if I take this candy and give me first pick, like crazy. So every year I was like super popular at the end of October, beginning of November, because I was going to buy everybody with my candy currency. And so this whole personality developed. And so to this day, I will not enjoy a piece of chocolate because like I would have to give up that like place where I was right and I was popular and I had like figured out the system. There's so many things, right?
Like
So
own the world.
I you could own the world with one candy bar. No, but like I don't even know how we got here and I'm not going to try to figure it out, but um the if you take that as like a literal analogy, like there are so many places where I have had a really yummy dinner and then they're like, would you like dessert? And they bring over a menu and everything has chocolate on it. Like there are things in my world because I concluded that I am a person defined as that's how we got there. Oh, see what happened? My definition of
Undefined.
me being defined as somebody who doesn't like chocolate. So that definition, I have sat at many a birthday parties even where they like bring out the cake and it's chocolate and I'm like, meh. Like growing up, right? Like I couldn't, um, go out on dates and, your date orders like a delicious dessert because all women like chocolate. And then I get to be, the one who's like, no, so funny. And so since then I have actually been eating a little bit of chocolate, believe it or not. Like so weird. But in that's a real life situation. But look at every like definition when you ask like how do you become undefined? Like everywhere you're defining yourself, you're taking things off your actual menu of choice. So you're like this type of person defined as this, like say we talked about me being a mom before. So there are a lot of things that I am but when you look at me, you probably don't say mother of four and grandmother. Okay. Um, but I would tell you that that's because I didn't align my life with that definition. So
Wow.
you that energy isn't like, oh, she's probably got a lot of kids. She looks real tired. You know what I mean? Like, because I didn't go do mom like everybody else.
That's so
Um,
cool.
so I'm not defined as being a mom. It's just a choice I made, and I get to engage with these creatures that I adore. And I guess I'm the one that, like, grew them in my oven, but I'm not their beings. And so we get to engage, but I never have to like live through the definition of mom.
That
So like, yeah, go ahead.
that seems like a different space entirely on the planet compared to the obligation a lot of parents do. It seems like you create a different space, and like you have, I would say it sounds like a different relationship and allowance. And that's really cool because like you said, you don't have that definition. And so it's like, whoa, that's super cool. And it's like maybe there's no how to, maybe it's just the energy and the choice.
Exactly. Well, there are a lot of things that I do or choose or whatever. Like I travel all the time, and most people would look at that and be like, a mom should not be traveling. They should be home with their kids. Right. So by that person's standards, I'm not a good mom. So by taking the like definitions of trying to be anything, like any one thing at any one moment in time, it's like, what if you're all things? And what if it's like your choice and your awareness of you, like we talked about before, like getting to start choosing for you, that's something that includes you. You get to like perceive you a being, you as the being choosing based on what would create your life and expand your being rather than how to make and keep everybody else happy.
Do you like have more to say about like the relationship aspect as well?
What do you mean?
Like like with like I guess with having a different space and choice and all, like it just seems like you have a really cool space, and it seems like choice is very like easy for you because it is just a choice, but it's really cool because it just seems like you've created so differently. And so like I guess if maybe on a like short scale of talking about it, how would people create like the relationships, whether it's parenting or any relationship, with ease that works for them?
Yeah.
I don't know if
Well, let
that
me say,
might be
yeah,
too much.
I'm a recovering problem solver, as stated before, like savior and problem solver.
Mm.
Um, and what I started to realize with using the access consciousness tools is every problem, is delivering a possibility in a package that you weren't expecting. So you really have to like from that awareness be like, okay, so this is showing up. All right, what magic and capacity have I not accessed that I will now access now to walk through this situation, and then I will always have that capacity. So it's like changing your mindset. um and there are definitely choices that I'm like still, shaking in my knees and not making like 100%. Do I have way more space in my world? Oh my God, if you use the tools every day, how can you not? um but when I think about like who I was before I started using the access tools, like I don't know if I'd hang out with that girl. Like she was funny for sure, but she was always worried about a problem and was always like focused there. And she would find other people with problems if she ran out of her own so that she could fix theirs. Like she was a good time, right? But as far as space goes, not so much. Um, and so when you say like, how do you create relationships that work for you? You have to know who you is. That's not English, but you got the drift. Okay.
I got it. I
Okay.
say stuff like that too.
Okay. You have to know who you be, girl. But and a lot of that is like the five elements of intimacy and access, like diving into those. Last year I made them my facilitators. And so I would just ask what of the five could facilitate me right now. And I got way more awareness around what each of the five are and how they contribute to the creation of your life. And so once you can't choose for you if you don't know what you is. So when you start to like peel back the layers and get to know you a little bit more and actually put you on your list and what's fun for you, what lights you up, what inspires your enthusiasm, what gets you out of bed, whatever that is, like start to have more of it in your life. You start to get to know you more. And then when you want to look at a relationship, you have way more awareness on how to engage the energies that will create for you. And you can use the 5 elements of intimacy, and at all cost, whenever you can, do your best to not judge you or them in any, in what they're choosing or what you're choosing, which sounds so simple because I'm sure it is for some people, but it's definitely it's definitely a commitment. Like my key like parenting tool is to do my very best to not judge my kids, right, wrong, good or bad. Do not. That's way easier than like judging like a significant other or even a friend or something. But my kids, it like super committed to not judging them at all, which annoys them actually.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I mean, I saw that August 30th to the 31st, you actually have an event called the 5 Elements of Intimacy coming up, and it's online. So that seems pretty cool. That's exciting.
I'm super excited for that.
It's something like I look at those elements all the time, and it's like that's a whole nother episode. And then August 8th, which is in 2 days, August 8th to the 11th, you've got a foundation class.
Yeah.
That's
Los
exciting.
Angeles. Yeah.
And then
the elements called too, if you sign up before August 15th, you actually get gifted as pre-listening a call I did last year called the Great Five, when I was inviting people on how to use them as your facilitators. And a lot of people got a lot of awareness and a lot of change out of that call. So you'll get that as a gift if you sign up by August 15th.
Okay, cool. And then you also have a Relationships Done Different coming up September 27th to the 29th in Bogota.
Colombia. Yeah.
Yay.
I'm very excited about that one too.
Wow. That's awesome. You've got a lot of events going on. That's exciting.
Thanks, girl.
Yeah.
It's fun to love what you do,
Yeah.
You never work.
It's always fun.
Exactly. It's a work day and I'm sitting here talking to you about things that I enjoy talking about. I mean, how does it get better?
Yeah. And it's always great to have these conversations because it just goes deeper. I was going to say than the ears, but like, when you're just listening, it like sinks in pretty deep and it like, contributes to the world. So.
Well, thank you for creating this for people.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Thank you. I'm grateful for you showing up and having this conversation. And yeah.
You're very welcome.
We will talk soon. See you later.
Bye. Everybody.
Bye-bye.